You have spoken in the past and you said, well, some of the more promising areas of the world are the Middle East, for example, or areas of Asia as well. Is that still the case? Are these the country or the regions in which you see the most appetite for this?
I mean, honestly, I must say the appetite is really a little bit everywhere.
Yeah.
But those regions might be a little bit easier, right? Easier also because they have bigger problems.
Yeah.
If you really think about, if you're living in India right now, in some of these very large cities like Mumbai, for example, I mean, people are trying more and more to get into the city, and the cities are overflowing. There's a gridlock. Now with the Hyperloop, we have the opportunity to build satellite cities, which they're already doing, and connecting these with the Hyperloop, and the people are going to be in the city center within minutes.
Yeah.
So you're literally expanding. You have the ability to connect cities that are 500-600 miles apart within 30-40 minutes.
Yeah.
Airports, right, can be built much further out. So there's a lot of solutions. But if the moment that you're cracking the part to build a transportation system that makes economical sense, you will see way more of it, and that will change the world. And inside the cities as well as connecting cities. Just think about Africa, for example, and what having a real infrastructure would mean to a continent like Africa.
And what, it's obviously can spur new ecosystems as well. So what, from building a Hyperloop, for example, what else can come out of that when it comes to, we've spoken before about some of the perhaps partners, how you can link up with other services. What comes out of that as well?
We have a very unique model, as you know, right? So we have, I think by now it's more than 900 people all around the world that are working in exchange for stock options in the company. We have over 40 companies that are doing the same thing. They're investing in kind into the companies and contributing their knowledge to really move this project forward. It's a movement by now. There's several Hyperloop companies, there's universities working on it. So we're talking about a lot of different areas. On one hand, you have what we call kind of like the NASA effect. So, and that comes from the moon landing. So in order to get to the moon, we had to develop a lot of technologies that then later were used somewhere else. And the same thing will happen with a Hyperloop, because a lot of the technologies that we are now developing are already finding interest in other sectors. And then you have the ecosystem itself. So in order to make sure that we innovate continuously in transportation, we are building an ecosystem of companies, of startups that are offering new services, that are monetizing in a different way. I mean, there's a lot of areas.
Well, and when you say, a commercial deal, that's a commitment to build a real working Hyperloop.
So the real issue you have with the Hyperloop is, again, not the technology. There have been several tests also by our competitors around, and if we really make it very simple, it's as easy as taking a normal train, putting it in a very large tube and taking the air out, right? So that train then could go much faster with much less energy. Yeah. Of course, it's not that easy, but just to make you understand it, the real hurdle here is regulations.
Right.
So you need to work with governments in order to create a completely new legislative framework. And that's a challenge.
And what needs to change? What would you want to see from a government who has a commitment to build this? What would you want to see, and how quickly do you think that's a possibility?
Well, so it's not it's not really that you have to change something. It's not existing. It's not a plane and it's not a train. So you have to have new laws and regulations. So the existing regulations are not covering a Hyperloop. So last year, for example, we had a big announcement together with Munich Re, the world's largest reinsurance company in the world. They worked with us for over a year and did a risk report and said that they actually can insure our system. That's a really big deal when you talk about commercializing the system, because if you have an insurance, it means that you've thought about all the different safety aspects. So now we're working with different safety institutes like the TÜV, for example, in Germany, on creating those safety regulations. And that's what's necessary. So the real problem is that governments are sometimes not as fast as innovators, right? So even so they want to support, sometimes it takes them a little bit longer. And there's just going to be a little bit of time that it takes in order to really make sure that the system is safe, operating. You're going to build it, and you're going to run it for a little bit before you open it up to the public.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.